People are going to get mad about this video, and honestly I don't care. This is the whole purpose of my channel, to tell you the things that nobody else is willing to tell you. Nobody else is willing to talk about these topics that I talk, so I am going to do it anyway. This is the second time I expose Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile and GGG, which stands for Grinding Gear Games. GGG runs a real money trading scheme with Path of Exile, with both of their games, Path of Exile 1 and 2. Before I go into details explaining to you why this is a real money trading scheme, I am going to talk about the basics of this game. I think this game is actually pretty fun. Throughout the campaign, the game is actually pretty excellent in many of its characteristics. The game offers a really good controller support. I really appreciate that. The couch co-op mode is really fun. I could play the whole campaign with my girlfriend. It was a pretty fun experience. The skills are pretty good looking, they are impactful, they feel good to use. The graphics obviously are pretty good, probably the best in the genre. The animations also top notch, but that's the end of the good things about this game. The bad things about this game is that the map design is like labyrinths. Every map for some reason in this game has to be a fucking labyrinth. I don't like that. This extends the game, makes the game a chore. Running through these fucking maps, it's a chore. I don't like this labyrinthic map design. It's obnoxious and it's tiresome. The campaign is way too long. They need to shorten this fucking campaign. It's really bad. If you want to play multiple characters on a season, it's going to be really fucking bad. It's obnoxious. I don't understand why they are adamant in making you play this stupid campaign. Aiming skills can be really bad because for some reason the way you aim your skills, you can be pointing at some enemy and then all of a sudden your character is going to launch his skill backwards or to another completely different direction that you pointed out. It's really bad. The UI, it's pretty bad. It's fucking bare bones and sometimes you don't even understand what the fuck you're supposed to do. It's terrible. The way the UI communicates its information to the player is basically non-existent. It's very obfuscated. I don't understand this UI. It took me a long time to see where the fuck was the node to go to my hideout, for example. I was unable to locate my hideout, and turns out that it was on the right side of the interface for some reason, in the map interface for some reason. I don't understand. This UI needs a rework. It's very, very bad. I don't understand it. The game has an identity crisis. It tries to be an action RPG, but at the same time it tries to be something like Dark Souls. Now I know people are going to say Dark Souls is an RPG too. Yes, but I personally don't consider Dark Souls an action RPG because Dark Souls and Souls-like games are more focused on the choreography, like, you know, you have to do a fucking choreography to beat bosses, and action RPGs are supposed to be more mindless. So this game kind of tries to be something in the middle, and a lot of times it doesn't really work because there are many builds that are really overpowered or builds that can literally one-shot bosses. So they basically completely ignore this quote-unquote methodic slow gameplay that they are trying to go for. One-shots for the bosses, one-shots are pretty common because they have to be, because they are trying to balance this game around very overpowered builds. The enemy AI in general, not only the bosses, the enemy AI is pretty bare bones. It's just, the enemies basically just serve you. Every enemy, doesn't matter how it looks, it behaves the same. So it can't really be something like Dark Souls if every single enemy behaves the same way. Every enemy represents the same challenge. This game designed, in my opinion, doesn't really work. It's an identity crisis. For this game to become more methodic and slow, they had to reduce the amount of enemies that they throw at you, and each enemy should have a very interesting behavior. It should be different from one another, and currently it's not. Currently the normal enemies behave just like in any other action RPG that you have played for years now. The builds are more limited in this game, and compared to the original game, Path of Exile 1, it feels like the builds are just dictated by the developers this time around. So people that want more freedom of expression are going to feel very constrained playing Path of Exile 2. Combo gameplay is excessive in my opinion. Not everything has to be a combo, but for some reason, well, I know the reason they're trying to go with this methodic slow gameplay that I already said it doesn't even work. It doesn't even work in this game, and it never really happens. Most builds at endgame start to one-shot most enemies, so it's very counterintuitive to try to do this combo gameplay, to try to slow down the game, but it doesn't even work. You don't even accomplish that. This combo gameplay becomes really annoying because it's excessive. Cooldowns are also kind of on the excessive side of things. I don't like cooldowns, especially when you take into consideration that, for example, you have totems. A spell totem, for example, can't use skills or spells that have cooldowns, so spell totem becomes a fucking meme. Generators and spenders are excessive. I remember that Path of Exile players were mocking Diablo players because in Diablo there is this gameplay that revolves more around generators and spenders, but it turns out that now in Path of Exile 2, generators and spenders are also the meat of the game. And to give you an example of this, spells and infusions. This mechanic is not that I hate this mechanic. I think the infusions in the spells are an interesting mechanic, but I think this should be a keystone. This should be something that you opt in. This shouldn't be the basic or the default state of spells. I don't think so. Spells should be strong on their own, and there should be a keystone, like I said, that you purposely opt in that changes how spells behave. The whole idea that spells need to use infusions makes spells really underwhelming. If you're not using infusions, most of your spells are going to be trash. Even if you don't use a spell that needs infusions, you still feel like you are missing gameplay, because the spells that don't need infusions to power up are generators of infusions. So even if you choose to not use the spells that consume infusions, you are going to use the spells that generate infusions, and then you're going to feel like you're missing part of the gameplay because you're not using the infusions that you're creating with that spell. I made a build around infusions. I made a spellcaster druid, and I played an infusions build centered around creating cold infusions to boost Ice Nova and then finishing my enemies with lightning warp. That was the core of my build essentially. I kind of like the gameplay of infusions, but I see why people don't like it and why they think this should be an opt-in mechanic and not the default state of spells. Defensive layers, armor and evasion pretty much suck in comparison to energy shield. This is why energy shield has been nerfed multiple times already. Armor and evasion are quite unreliable, especially evasion, since it's a chance based layer of defense. Energy shield feels overpowered because energy shield essentially is just more life, and they remove life from the passive skill tree, but now there is only energy shield. So obviously a lot of people that are not fucking idiots, what they are going to do is just make their builds revolve around energy shield, because having more health is more reliable than evasion that is chance based, and for example armor that is also unreliable because the reduction of damage that you see in your status screen is not real. That's not the real amount of damage that you're going to get reduced every time you get hit. The explanations of evasion, because evasion also works kind of like this, the amount of evasion that you see in your character sheet, it's not what it actually is going to allow you to evade. Armor and evasion, the way they work is so fucking mysterious and so fucking annoying to understand that I don't think they are worth it. Armor is a bit better this time around because they made the whole thing that makes your elemental resistances scale of your armor. That is good, but I still believe energy shield is superior even with all the fucking nerfs. I think they need to rework armor and evasion. The new ward mechanic, it fucking sucks. I understand that it's a protection for one-shots, especially for builds that revolve around evasion or armor, but in my opinion, they made these whole new skills that cost ward. I don't like this stupidity. Ward is a defensive layer but also an offensive layer. I just don't like that shit. It feels retarded. I don't like it. The trials fucking suck. This is one of the worst parts of this fucking game. The trials. This is where you get your ascendancy points. You're probably never going to get all of your ascendancy points. If you're like me, if you detest the fucking trials, you're probably going to quit this fucking game over this fucking stupidity. The trials, this is cancer. This mode is fucking cancer. Not to mention that when I was playing with my girlfriend in couch co-op, we found a really game-breaking bug that completely stopped us from finishing these trials. You see, my girlfriend was getting killed for no fucking reason. If you can see in these videos that I am going to show you, she still has full health and for some reason she's being killed and we can't figure out what the fuck happened, but this is a bug. This is a known bug that happens when you try to do these trials in couch co-op. We tried to do this separately. I capped my honor resistance for the trial of Sekemas, and the second trial where you have to face these twin statues, one is of fire and the second one is of ice. These two guys did way too much damage. Like I had my honor capped at 75% and they still did way too much fucking damage. So I died and I also had plus percentage honor and it still wasn't enough. This stupidity needs to fucking change. This is stupid. I don't like this shit, and this is the whole reason, this is the primary reason why I am done with this stupid game. Because I hate when games don't respect my time. And this shit doesn't respect my time. Unless they rework these trials, I am done with this stupid game. I am fucking done with this shit. I'm not wasting my time with this stupidity anymore. No more. I am never coming back to Path of Exile 2 unless the trials are completely reworked. I hate this shit. This shit is cancer because these trials basically are a false dichotomy in the sense that the question that they ask to you is, how do you want to be fucked? Do you want to be fucked by 10 men or do you want to be fucked by a horse? And I am like, how about I don't get fucked? How about I choose to not get fucked? Well, that's not an option in these trials. So you have to choose how to get fucked and you have to enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not going to get your ascendancy points. And throughout these two trials, you have to choose also added options about how you are going to get fucked. So if you choose to get fucked by the men, you now have to choose if they get to fuck you with bottles, with dildos, or if they get to fuck you in the eyes. And if you choose the horse, now you get to choose the race of the horse, the size of its. Again, if you want to get fucked in the eyes or in the ears. This is essentially how the trials work. How to get fucked. And you have to enjoy it and you have to do it. Otherwise, you're completely gatekept from getting your ascendancy points. This is stupid. This is trash game design. And I'm going to explain you later why this is the case. There is another reason why they promote these trials. Why they have these stupid trials. Even from Path of Exile 1, the labyrinth was a problem. Gatekeeping these ascendancy points from the players is bad game design. The drop rates during the campaign are actually fine. Maybe you have to grind a bit to beat certain bosses, which two of them kind of feel quite overtoned. The final bosses of Act 4 and the other 3 mini acts. Those two final bosses can feel quite overtoned, but they are not overly overtoned. They are doable, but you still have to grind a bit to be able to overcome these bosses. So it's not overly punishing during the campaign. The problem starts in the endgame. This is when everything goes downhill in the fucking endgame. Because in the endgame, you realize that if you're playing solo self-found, it's essentially just a fucking meme. In Path of Exile 2, playing solo self-found, it's a fucking meme. In fact, you can choose to play solo self-found to be unable to use the trading, but there is no upside for this decision. There is only the downside that you're going to be unable to trade, but they don't give you any bonus to your drop rates or anything. Unlike in Last Epoch, picking solo self-found is just stupidity in this game. And there is a big reason why they don't want to buff solo self-found. There is a big reason, and that's the whole point of this video. So loot sucks, you don't get drops for you, but you could get drops for someone else. This is stupid. You may don't get what you need, but you may get what others need. And this encourages trading. This game is balanced around trading, which is a fucking mistake. This is why live action RPGs are fucking cancer. This is why. Because they want players to trade, but they also don't want players to get their own shit, which is the whole point of playing action RPGs, to drop the items yourself. This is why these games exist, because the whole idea of killing mobs and getting your own drops, this is what fuels your motivation to keep playing these games. And this game, Path of Exile 2, completely kills that motivation, because all that matters in this stupid game is the currency. It's the currency that you drop. So this currency is basically crafting components that are used for trading. And guess what? Crafting sucks in this game too, because it's fucking turbo RNG. It's fucking awful. A more decent crafting mechanic is present in Last Epoch, where you can actually choose the modifiers that you want to implement into your weapons and armor. Now there is another layer that I don't like, which is the forging potential in Last Epoch, but at the very least they allow you to choose what you are going to add. You have more control on the affixes that you are going to implement into your gear, unlike in Path of Exile 2, in which crafting is fucking trash. Everything is RNG. So as I said, the focus of this game is not to drop gear, is to drop currency, is to get more currency. So people even switch their whole idea of what is to be playing an action RPG, and instead of focusing on drops on actual gear, they focus on dropping currency, which is really fucking boring and a travesty, and this is a complete degeneration of what it meant to play an action RPG. Why all of this works like this? Why? Why does GGG keep the game like this? It's pretty simple. As I said at the start of this video, this game is a real money trading scheme. This is what this fucking whole game is. It's a real money trading scheme. And you're going to say, no, you're inventing things, this is fake news, you're just a hater. Okay, there are two posts that I want you to look up in Reddit. One of them is titled "Throwback to one of GGG's friends and investors running an RMT site." Aaron Ciccelli, who owns 7.5% of GGG's, owns two RMT websites that sell PoE items. This post was made 2 years ago, and it's referencing another post that was made 5 years ago, which is titled "Forgotten Scandal: GGG's Involvement in RMT." So I am not going to read you the post. I am going to explain to you more or less what happened back then in Path of Exile 1 and why this is hard evidence that these games are a real money trading scheme. You see, back then there was these sites that sold Path of Exile 1 items for real money, and these stupid idiots at one point they placed these items with the name of lightning coils, which were one of the top items at that point in the game, and they priced them at $1995, which according to the players back then was a complete steal. So guess what happened? A ton of people started to buy these lightning coils in mass. Tons of them flooded the fucking market, and they caused a market crash. Now players noticed that these lightning coils had something in common. They were all item level 74. So they began suspecting that this was some item dupe, that someone found a way to dupe these items. But this was denied by Chris Wilson himself. So Chris Wilson denied that these items were generated by a dupe bug. How did people figure out that these lightning coils were coming from the RMT sites? How? It's pretty simple, because like I said, they flooded the fucking market. These items were supposed to be rare, and when Chris denied that this was a dupe, that they were duping these items, it was pretty clear that they had to have an origin, and this origin had to be the real money trading sites. Now, another characteristic of these lightning coils is that they were all unidentified items. They were all item level 74. They were all unidentified items, and when you identified these items, they all had different stats. So that means these items weren't being duped. So if you think about it, the only way this site had access to these items, the only way this site, these RMT sites, could have these items on sale, it was because someone was generating these items directly within the game. Some developer had access and they generated these lightning coils from inside the game. It wasn't bots or anything like that, because it was pretty clear that it was a single item, and the whole reason this happened is because those stupid idiots in the RMT site mispriced these items. They put them too cheap, so a lot of people bought them to sell them again, and this whole thing showed to everyone that it was GGG's the ones that were creating these lightning coils to sell in these RMT sites. And guess what? If they are creating these lightning coils to sell in these sites, they are creating all the fucking items that are being sold in these sites. Period. The bots and everything else is just a fucking disguise. This is why these companies somehow are never able to fight these bots. They are never able to kill these bots. For some reason they can't get over these bots. They are unable to control them. Think about World of Warcraft, for example, which also has a bot problem. When all of these MMOs, these live service games, are unable to destroy and get rid of the bots, you can be pretty sure that this company is involved in real money trading schemes. And this is not an exception for GGGs. It's not. They are doing this themselves. They are fucking weasels that they are selling items on these real money trading sites. There is also a rumor that says that Chris Wilson actually started the development of the original Path of Exile with money that he got from doing real money trading in Diablo 2. And I believe it, and I completely believe it, because if the guy was an avid veteran of real money trading in Diablo 2, he probably was a visionary and saw his opportunity to say, you know what, why the fuck I am doing this in other people's game when I can create my own thing and I can control the whole scheme, the whole real money trading scheme. And he did. He created Path of Exile 1, which pretty much works more or less the same in the end game as Path of Exile 2. It turns out it's also a real money trading scheme, as I showed you with this evidence. There is hard evidence that these guys are involved in RMT. The owner of these sites that sold the lightning coils was Aaron C. Shelley, which was a guy that owned a percentage of GGGs back then. So if you believe the excuses that, oh no, it wasn't like that, this guy was hired or this guy was contracted to try to fight these RMTers, fuck you. You are a blindfolded fanatic if you believe that shit. You have low IQ and you are a blindfolded fanatic if you believe that fucking sad excuse. No, it's fucking obvious that these guys run a real money trading scheme. It's fucking obvious. This is why they also want these trials to be as obnoxious as they can, because guess what happens? There is people that sell these trial runs which guarantee you all your 8 points, your 8 ascendancy points. So that is another way to create value for this currency. You now need this currency even more, because now if you don't want to make these trials, you know how to pay someone to do them for you. This is also why they are never going to remove the experience loss on that, because you need to understand these live service games are a treadmill. This treadmill is about you continuing playing the game forever and never letting go. The whole motivation of these companies that make these live service games is to suck out your soul, is to suck out your life. They want you to keep walking and running on these treadmills forever, chasing a carrot that is never going to be in your hands, even less in your mouth. You're never going to be able to catch this carrot, because it's by design. By design, these guys, this evil, because these people are evil. You need to call things as they are. Doing this type of shenanigans is evil, because you are literally manipulating people into giving their lives away, their time away for a stupid video game, because you're motivated to do this by greed. You want these players, these people trapped playing your game forever, because you want to extract something from them, their life source. You want to extract resources from them, money in this case, time and money. And you make all of these lies, these shenanigans, these systems, these whistle systems to keep these players playing your shitty treadmill, because you don't want these players to let go. This is why I am a big advocate for you to stop playing these trash competitive games. These online competitive games are a scam. I have a whole video on the topic. This shit is a fucking scam. Most live service games, if not all of them, are a fucking scam. They all want to extract your life source. They all want to completely suck your soul out of your body. They want you to keep being a zombie and keep walking or running on this treadmill forever, and they are going to get rich at your expense. You need to understand this. And in the case of this game, this RMT scheme, what they want you to do at some point is to bend the knee and go pay for your fucking currency, because this is what they want you to do. They want you to go to any of these RMT sites, buy the currency that you need, and go back to the game and buy some fucking item that they generated themselves. This is a fucking scam. You need to understand this shit is a fucking scam. And the reason that you don't see this is because you are a blindfolded fanatic. You refuse to see the truth. They are lying to you. Oh no, but GGG is the best company because they are actually making an actual free-to-play game. These are honest guys. The only thing they sell is these stash tabs. Poor little guys, you are being completely unfair to them. You're a fucking fanatic. You're a blindfolded fanatic. That's the whole plan of this guy. This is why they are evil, because they try to present themselves, oh, we are the good guys. We actually care about the players and we are actually really free to play game. We actually are a free to play game. We don't have any pay to win on our game. But the truth is that these guys actually run a pay to win game. They actually run a pay-to-win game. Why? Because they sell the currency themselves. They sell the fucking items themselves. They generate the fucking items themselves. It's just all behind the curtain. All of these fucking trades happen under the fucking table. So they can have both. They can have the good PR, the good public relations with the players, with the community. They can present themselves as these avatars of good free-to-play games, the role model of good free-to-play games, and then behind the curtain, under the table, they are evil scumbags that sell you currency and items, and they are benefiting from an actually really predatory pay-to-win game. This is bad. You need to understand, GGG's Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 are one of the most predatory pay-to-win games ever created, but you refuse to see it because these clowns actually have the audacity to run seasons. So each time, each new season, you have to rebuy everything again. This is way too fucking predatory. So if you're buying shit from them, each season, they delete your money. They delete your fucking investment. Oh, but you can just keep playing standard. Nobody is going to do that because they purposely only make mechanics exclusive for seasons because they know players have FOMO, fear of missing out. So these people are fucking evil and you're defending them because they not only have a really predatory pay-to-win game, they also abuse fear of missing out. They use FOMO. They want to suck the life out of you. They want all these clowns, all these scumbags care about is about your money. And if you defend them, you are a mentally ill fanatic. You refuse to see the truth. Remember when action RPG players were complaining about the Diablo 3 auction house in which you could actually buy items for real money? Remember? It was fucking bad, right? Well, guess what these fucking hypocrites did? They moved to fucking Path of Exile, which essentially does exactly the fucking same that Diablo 3 did, and they don't give a fuck because they are fucking gullible. They are dumb. They actually believe that Path of Exile 1 and 2 are real legit games. They are just as cancerous as that Diablo 3 action house that you complained back then. But now you completely accept it because all this company had to do is lie to you, disguise their intentions. All they had to do is gaslight you because you're a fucking idiot. That's all it took for them. They are very smart. They saw the backlash from the action house in Diablo 3 and they said, we are going to do this under the table. We are going to run this RMT scheme under the table ourselves. And we are going to be very rich. We are going to make us very rich at the expense of these stupid, gullible fucking players, these fanatics. This Aaron Ciccelli guy actually was found out that he bought a multi-million-dollar mansion. He funded that fucking mansion out of the fucking RMT that he did in Path of Exile. You're a bunch of idiots. You truly are a bunch of idiots, and I don't give a fuck if you get offended by this. If you are offended by this, unfollow me. Fuck you, I don't need you. I don't fucking care about you. I don't give a shit. Get offended if you wish. This is the whole purpose of my channel, to expose the things that nobody else is willing to say. And that's the issue. Not a lot of people are willing to say these things. And this is why these companies keep getting away with this. This is why gaming is in this state, in this sorry ass state. It's because voices like mine are really scarce or basically non-existent. This is the whole reason I started making videos, because I want to say what nobody is willing to say. I don't give a shit. Path of Exile 1 and 2 are real money trading schemes. And grinding gear games are the ones that run them. They are scammers, they are evil, and they don't give a shit about you. All they care is that you go on their fucking treadmill and play their game forever, and you lose all your life to it, all your resources to this game, all your time. These companies monopolize your time and extract everything, your life source, your soul from you, and you accept it because you are a fucking idiot, you are a fucking fanatic.